All right, so I guess welcome to the first episode of the podcast, Online Dissonance. It's probably almost definitely going to change that. uh, we have my friend Bill here. I am the host, Dominic, you know. Can you not do that?
What?
Blow into the mic? Yeah, so, this episode is just going to be, getting started, setting a base for everything that we're going to be doing. Yeah. So, the basic idea behind the podcast is I want to have... You'll probably be the main guy I go to, Bill, but I want to have various...
That's not a joke. I'm surprised I'm actually the main guy.
Well, it's because you have the least annoying voice of everyone I know, so... Okay, so we're probably going to have various people on, though. Most of the times it'll be me and you, at least, and then, I don't know, maybe we'll invite Lampard or something like that every once in a while to give his opinion if we're talking about a game or a topic that he knows about.
We're going to call him Lamps.
Alright, we'll call him Lamps the whole time.
We have Lamps, we have Joe, we got... You know what, we don't even have to call Audie by his real name, because Audie's just a good enough name.
Well, he's not really going to be on here. He's a little vulgar.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna try to keep it a little family friendly, you know.
I could care less about family friendly, but that's fair.
I care about family friendly because that means that's a wider base that can listen to the podcast.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'd rather be able to reach a wider audience and have them all be able to appreciate and not, have a reason to dislike this than, cuss and just kind of have that freedom of saying whatever and cut out those people that maybe they want to listen to it. Maybe we have some feedback for them. That's the whole thing.
Gotcha.
And yeah, so it's just basically the podcast. Basically, this thing is going to be just a couple of people. I want to try for once a week. We might have to do once every 2 weeks or something like that for a while just to see how it's going to go. But I want to try once a week, and we'll talk about, the Overwatch League. We'll talk about other competitive games. We'll talk about, how the graphics quality of a game can the strain that it can put on something on, your computer, or, the minimum graphics you need for the computer. To run certain games. We could talk about how to build a PC, what parts you need in order to build a decent gaming PC, because everyone thinks you need the latest and greatest technology, but I run a DDR3 build with I think it's a Generation 3 i5 processor, and I can run my games at a decent quality.
I don't know anything about that. If we wanted to ask anyone about that,
that'd have to be
two
Audie.
of those people would be one, the vulgar guy, and then probably Silent.
Yeah, Silent doesn't know much. Everything he knows, he gets from Audie.
Oh,
yeah. Or he gets from
Audie
me.
then.
Yeah. But yeah. So I guess that'd be an episode more for him and me to discuss things.
And then I think we're gonna go do a few personal stories every now and then.
Yeah. We can do that. We could talk about if we go anywhere with the club at school.
Yeah.
We could talk about that, and we could talk about our ranks and stuff. But those are more if we don't have a topic for a week. Those are kind of the dull kind of we'll go through. You know what I mean? You always have to. Yeah. You always have to have something to kind of fill in those gaps, so that way you don't lose people because you're missing for a week or something. Yeah, so I guess we could get started on talking about a couple of things. just like the plan for the next couple episodes. And my mic fell over. Oh, that's fun. But yeah, I mean, I think essentially this episode we should just talk about how far we want to go as far as like we'll start listing out the games, we'll start listing out a couple of topics, and we'll start planning a little bit. This is just, it's an informative one to kind of break into finding out who wants to listen to it, and get people to get word around.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess the first thing we should talk about is the list of games that we want to have included on this. So, what are your ideas? Is my thing. What are your ideas?
Well, I mean, the obvious one is Overwatch.
Yeah,
especially since right now during this podcast, Overwatch League is going on.
It is, yeah. I actually have it running right here in front of us. Honestly, it's Atlanta Reign versus Philadelphia Fusion.
Yeah.
I think Atlanta Reign is going to be one of the best teams in the league this year. just saying.
Yeah, I think it's highly, it's going to be up there.
Yeah, but that's a topic for another day,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I mean, as much as people are against it, and I know it's kind of dying off now, Fortnite, because they do have a lot of very wide fan base, and they also do have a lot of things that happen. So they have open skirmishes, they have tournaments within the game, and they have live events that happen. And sometimes, like they did the other day, they did the Marshmallow live event, which I thought was pretty cool. I didn't get to see it personally because I didn't know about it until after it happened.
Yeah, and the thing is, there are also some topics that I really just know nothing about, such as Fortnite. Literally all I know about Fortnite is I hate it. And I don't have any strong opinions about the good parts about the game, since I haven't touched the game as much as other people.
Yeah. I think
stuff like Overwatch, though, I can be like, there are definitely bad and good qualities to this thing. Other stuff like, what is it, Minecraft? Everyone's played that.
Yeah.
If they have a good enough computer, mind you. But
speaking of Minecraft, PewDiePie is streaming Minecraft today to try and beat T-Series. The sub gap has fallen below 30,000.
T-Series has surpassed him multiple times, apparently.
They like, before everything kind of took off, yeah, T-Series surpassed him quite a few times, actually.
I personally feel like that T-Series has a right to surpass him, even though PewDiePie basically is what YouTube stands for, since he's gone through pretty much every single bit of content there is on YouTube. He's gone from sketches to gaming to just vlogging and challenges, and those are the basis for YouTube right now. And then T-Series is just a YouTube channel that is high up there because it interests other people that are musicians and whatnot. Well, and music isn't as popular on YouTube. Music is more of an iTunes or Google Music thing, or SoundCloud.
Yeah, but the thing is, T-Series is an Indian music company, and the whole thing behind it is, oh no, T-Series is going to become the number one YouTuber, but it's not going to become the number one YouTuber. It's going to become one of the most subscribed channels, which is completely different, because a YouTuber is an individual person who puts effort. They do video games, they do vlogs, like you said, they do reaction channels, and really you have to think about what defines a YouTuber, what defines a channel, in order to think about it. Because even if T-Series, when T-Series surpasses PewDiePie, Pewds will still be the most subscribed YouTuber, because T-Series is really not a YouTuber. They're an Indian music company who also is using subscription bots and they are, because they're an Indian music company and India is getting more access to, that technology, to internet and stuff like that. Indian people are going in and they're subscribing to it because it's really the only big major Indian music service that they can access.
Wait, can you go back to the bots thing? Like, what do you mean by that?
T-Series, they actually found the reason if you watch the subscriptions, right? You watch the battle between them on videos. You'll watch as T-Series will occasionally, they'll drop like 1,000 subs. They'll drop 1,000 subs or 2,000 subs or 500 subs, and that's not people unsubscribing. That's actually YouTube clearing out the subscription bots. They're essentially programs that create fake YouTube accounts that go in and subscribe to them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
And it's either because T-Series is doing it themselves, or because people who just dislike PewDiePie are going and doing that.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I mean, I dislike PewDiePie, but I understand what you're talking about, and I prefer him to be on the top of YouTube. But if T-Series was getting there legitimately, I feel like T-Series has the right to be up there.
Yeah, that's valid. But at the same time, like I said, you have to think about what defines a YouTuber versus a company using YouTube.
And the thing is, like you said, even if T-Series makes it to the top, it's going to be more of a thing where it's just like, they aren't YouTubers. They're a company.
Yeah.
It's an incorporation that's just making music. It's not YouTubers or a group of people making their own content. It's more of something that's sponsoring content and putting it up there, kind of like Machinima. And Machinima has been on YouTube for the longest time, and is basically a content creator for YouTube, so to speak.
Yeah, because they're sponsored by a lot of people, and they do content that's based off of the sponsorships. And
while T-Series is basically, my guess is T-Series is getting all these music videos from movies or popular Indian musicians and whatnot, while Machinima is creating their own content. So really, Machinima is kind of a YouTube corporation versus a normal corporation just putting out their stuff on it. So, and people could argue that plenty of the Vivo channels are really corporations, and I can understand their point of view on that. But there's plenty of other music channels that are just content creators on YouTube, such as Pentatonics or Peter Hollins and whatnot.
Hold up, what just happened to Machinima's videos? They're all private.
YouTube, Article 13.
Ah, okay.
Probably,
yeah. Because I just checked their channel, and they, most of their videos.
A lot of YouTube videos that I really liked apparently went private, and now I can't remember them.
Yeah, rip. But yeah, I think we kind of got a little bit off of where we were talking, but I mean, that's what this episode's about. Just kind of throwing out stuff that we can talk on, and coming up with ideas, and also coming up with this first episode to kind of kick things off,
I mean, personally, it felt like that what we just talked about there actually felt like a topic that we can delve into.
Yeah.
And podcasts aren't really about a specific topic. You basically have this whole bunch of lists, I guess you could say. It's a list of topics that you plan to go into, and you shouldn't really plan for the episode, but you should plan a starting topic for the episode.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, when I listen to podcasts, and I watch visual podcasts like the Command Zone is a magic podcast.
I've listened to the Misfits.
Yeah.
And they don't really they more or less just improvise what they do.
Yeah,
what I can tell.
I just kind of listen to the occasional history podcast to study for a test or something like that, but I mostly focus on kind of the Magic podcasts, and that's mostly what I listen to, like the Command Zone, Modern Masters, or no, it's not called Modern Masters. Modern Masters is a set. Masters of Modern.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I don't have any like specific other than those that I listen to, but a lot of them, they like Masters of Modern and Command Zone, they focus on Magic, but they go off to little topics here and there, but their main focus is Magic, and they have a general central idea to focus each episode. So, but like you said, there's also other podcasts that they start off with a topic, and if they run out, or they go off another branch, they don't stick to that one thing, and it's just kind of whatever is being talked about at that moment. So I mean, I think what we do need to discuss right now is, do we want this to go the direction of, hey, let's talk until we run out or until we decide we want to branch off and then go on to that new topic, or do we want to try and do episodes that are a little more focused? Because if we decide to do ones where we branch off and stuff like that, then I believe we would have to make them a little longer. We would make podcasts an hour or longer. But if we have a more focused idea of the podcast, I believe it would allow us to make shorter ones. And we'd be able to make shorter podcasts, and we'd be able to make a larger quantity. So the question is really, do we want quality or do we want quantity? So,
well, we want quality, obviously.
Yeah.
And the thing about that is, we want focused, like, we still want focused episodes, but we also want, like, ones that just branch off no matter what. Because, like, people like focused episodes, from what I know. Like, I like episodes where they just kind of focus on something. But then there's things where it's just like, I just kind of want to hear different stuff throughout the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's more like sometimes there's going to be conversations that branch from one to another through some sort of ties. And for us, because, well, we're teens. We're not gonna lie about that.
Yeah.
And our minds just wander off sometimes. So really, all that matters there is we're gonna branch off at some point.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll be branching off to topics that are super close to the one before. Other times there will be someone who's just like, this reminded me of something, and changing subjects completely. For this, I guess we're focusing on the podcast more or less in this episode, or well,
yeah,
audio clip. I don't know. Who knows?
I mean, I'm gonna upload this to SoundCloud when it's done, and hopefully I'll upload it to SoundCloud, and I'll probably share it out on Twitter, Facebook, and all that. I might throw the audio on a black background and upload it to YouTube too, because that's optional. That's a thing we could do. And then there are ways. I don't want to go other routes as far as, because we could get it on Spotify and we could also get it on iTunes, but I wouldn't want to follow those routes specifically until we get kind of solidified as like having a viewer base, and then we can branch out to those bigger companies, and because like they go through a process of reviewing the content and making sure it's appropriate, and then they also have to approve and be like, hey, okay, we want this on here. And if we don't have that much of a listener base of people who want to listen to it, then they're not really going to want to accept it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, it'll probably be a rough ride, but things will smooth out after we figure out a little more about where to upload these things. I know a little bit. I know a decent amount of where to and how to do some audio like tweaking here and there in case someone gets too quiet and like you can't hear them during the pod. I can do a little bit of things here and there. But this is really going to be a learning experience for everyone involved.
I would agree, yeah.
Because back up from your mic a little bit, dude.
There we go. That better?
Yeah, I might have to turn you up now.
Well, then here we go. That better?
Yeah, I think that's better. Yeah, that's good. So yeah, it's gonna be a learning experience definitely for me as far as getting this uploaded and finding out what I have to do to make sure this content doesn't get stolen, and stuff like that. It's gonna be a learning experience for the other people who are on. Because they get to hear my opinion about things. We get to discuss and talk about it, have constructive conversations. And it's going to be a learning experience, definitely for the listeners, too. Maybe someone doesn't know about what's going on internally about the Overwatch League and why certain teams are doing badly or doing really good all of a sudden. And it's just, you're breathing into your mic again.
Yeah. And I mean, we were talking about that earlier, actually. We were talking about London has just lost their mojo. Not only did they trade, like, an important team member with somebody, or send them off,
they traded effect.
What they did was they stick to the meta. Yeah. And if the meta can be easily worked around, they suck.
Yeah. I think it was effect that they traded to Dallas. But I don't know who they traded for. I believe it was their tank. I think OGE is still on Dallas. I think it was a tank player that they traded though.
Well, you can just check the London roster.
That's true. I don't know. I don't know Dallas's last year roster by heart. Effects. Advantages of having a computer. The Overwatch League effect. Let's see. 20 inaugural season. Oh no, I think he's always been on Dallas. Has he always been on Dallas? I don't know. I know though that London Spitfire traded someone. Let's see, London Spitfire. No, they traded Fissure. They traded away Fissure. And they traded Rascal. They traded Rascal to Dallas Fuel? Dude, I didn't know that. They traded who? They traded Rascal to Dallas Fuel.
And they put Closer on Dallas Fuel.
Yeah.
From London.
Let's see. Yeah, they traded Fissure to LA Glads and Rascal to Dallas Fuel. Dang.
And then London got someone else.
Yeah, I can't find who they traded for. Yeah, I can't find who they traded for. I think they might have just traded that. They say traded, but I'm pretty sure they just gave them to him. And because like London Spitfire, their roster went from 12 people to 8 people this season. They had so I think they gave some people to other teams and in order to cut down on theirs, but in doing so they kind of took out some of their core people, and like those both those people were on the starting 6 last year. But this year they're not because they're on different teams. And LA Glads has, with Fissure, has done an amazing job so far. We'll see later today when they go up against, I think they're going against Valiant? I might be wrong, though.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I didn't realize this, but the map lineup for both the first match of the day, which was Houston versus Boston, and Philadelphia versus Atlanta, Iraq, the only difference was Kings Row and Hollywood.
Yeah, a lot of times they like to stick to the same maps because it's just what the teams prefer. It's what they practice on. Yeah, it's Glads versus San Francisco Shock today, which is.
It doesn't seem like anyone practices on Junkertown. I haven't seen Junkertown personally.
Yeah, that's because the teams don't like Junkertown. The sightlines are too open, and for both attacking and defending teams, it's just too open, and everyone kept using the same pirate ship comp on Junkertown, which made it frustrating for them to play. But now Route 66, they're using pirate ship in order to attack and defend. I believe Atlanta was the first one to decide to just use pirate ship straight out on Route 66 the other day.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
They were just like, hey, let's just throw a bastion on the payload. So there was an attack bastion and a defense bastion, and it was basically just whose bastion died first.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah, what is it? I was gonna say something, I forgot. It was something about the Overwatch League. Atlanta has gone against London and Philadelphia, which were the two finalists last year.
They haven't gone against London.
Unlike London, against Philadelphia, they seem to have a pretty even matchup. Whereas London, they just shredded them.
Hold up.
3-1.
They
right
did
now it's 1-1.
Oh, they have not. Atlanta has not gone against London. Atlanta went against Florida.
Wait.
It was Florida. Yeah, they went against Florida Mayhem.
Then who else went against London?
Paris.
Oh, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Paris pretty much destroyed London 3-1. That game was not fun to watch if you're a London fan.
Yeah, I like Paris's colors. Like, a lot of the new team colors actually are really, really good.
Yeah, they are. I can agree with that, but I don't like some of them. I don't like some of the new team colors.
I don't like red that much. But both Atlanta and Paris have really good skins surrounding that red.
Yeah, I like the Toronto Defiant. If the black was a little less dark, I would like the Toronto Defiant skins a lot better. But I really do like the black and red scheme of the Toronto Defiant.
Yeah, for Vancouver, like those are my two favorite colors. My personal preference would be to like darken the green a little, maybe or at least make it a little less vibrant of some sort, because it just felt too out there for some of the skins. Like Divas, it worked amazingly, but with other skins like Ana, it was recognizable as Vancouver, but it wasn't something where it's just like, oh, that's a cool skin.
Yeah, I think the reason it works so well with Diva is because a while back we had that challenge for Diva's Nano Cola skin, and the Nano Cola is also green and blue.
Yeah.
And I feel like them doing that, because at that time I don't think Toronto was officially announced, but they knew Toronto was a team and they knew it was going to be green and blue, yet they still released it with the green and blue color scheme, which kind of defeats the purpose. So you don't have to buy the league skin in order to get that awesome green and blue color scheme.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's just counterintuitive.
I also noticed that none of the league have chose Busan.
No, Busan has been chosen by the Chinese teams.
Oh, really?
Yes. The Chinese teams, when Shanghai went up against the Charge or whatever, it was Shanghai versus Hangzhou Charge. They did Busan as their map. But as good a map as Busan is, the reason they aren't choosing it mostly has to do with the fact that it's been out for less time than all the other maps, and they haven't had time to come up with strategies. The only reason Rialto is being used as much as it's been being used is because Rialto is an easy map to defend and an easy map to kind of strategize with.
Yeah. And there were some I know Horizon has been used a bit more often than expected.
Yeah, because Horizon...
When it first came out, a lot of people were like, oh god, this is the worst map because you can only, you can't defend on it. And then it got its rework, and while for a bunch of people, it was like, okay, this isn't that much of a rework. It actually changed a lot, surprisingly.
It did. It removed some extra flank routes. It added some extra sight lines. It added a little bit of extra protection. And what it did is it almost perfectly balanced out the attack and defense ratios, so that way the Overwatch League players felt it was more fair to play, which is also why they do Rialto, because when they increased the payload speed for Rialto, they made it so that way it was easier for attackers to push the payload, and the defenders, it made it a little harder for them to be able to defend it because they can't get there as fast. But the reason certain maps are being picked is because it's the maps that the players are very comfortable with, but it's also the maps that they know has a close to 50-50 chance of one of them winning.
Right, yeah, I would agree with that.
If it's an uneven chance if it's like one team, the first attacking team has a 54% chance of winning and the defending team has a 46% chance of winning, then they don't want to play it as much as maybe when there's a 51% chance of the first attacking team winning and a 49% chance, or a 50.52 versus a 49.48.
Yeah. So yeah, and with with some maps, I like I said, I haven't seen Junkertown as often. And it's not because they're bad maps. Well, Junkertown, everyone hates Junkertown for some reason.
I don't like Junkertown.
It's more of a thing where it's possible that Junkertown just needs a rework.
I don't think Junkertown needs a rework. It's just the design style of Junkertown makes it so you're forced to play 3 different compositions throughout the entire map. The first composition you can play pirate ship in order to get through, or the first part. The second part you have to play in a more enclosed area with less sight lines. You can play Widowmaker, but she's not as strong as if you were in something like Numbani. Numbani would be a great Widowmaker map, as much as it's kind of like there's kind of like those areas where it's kind of hard to see. The first point on Numbani, you have a lot of great open sight lines. You have those walls. You have little areas that you can kind of hide and protect from attack. So it's really up to personal preference. Junkertown is a balanced map. It has a decent win-loss ratio. It's not nearly as good as some other maps like King's Row, but Junkertown, it was an unnecessary map that they added for purposes of having a little bit of Junkrat and Roadhog lore.
Yeah, and it did help with some lore, lore quotation marks, since Overwatch isn't really a story game.
Yeah.
But they give lore to the characters. And it helped to understand some parts of the characters, which was nice at the time, but really, in this, you play the characters because you like how they play, not because you like the character, and that's something I struggle with for sure. But that's something for a different time. What needs to be focused on is the fact that there's a map, at least one map, that is really only there for lore, which is Junkertown.
Yeah.
And its only relation is really Hammond, Roadhog, and Junkrat. And it's just kind of a question of why.
They did it specifically for the purposes. You could also argue, though, that Busan was added for the purposes of lore, but at least Busan it's a good developed map, and you have a decent win-loss ratio on that map, and it's a nice map to play, and it's a good feeling to play. because it's a control point map as well, and control point is probably it's honestly one of my favorite game modes to play, because when you have the escort, it's really frustrating that you can't gain any progress while the enemy's on the point. But when you have control point, if the enemy's on the point and you're capping, it'll continue to cap until you hit 99, which it makes it feel better, because when you have an escort map, you have to force the enemy off the point. But if you have that control point, you don't have to force the enemy off the point until it's at 99.
Yeah, personally, I feel like Junkertown should have actually either been a control point or a point A, point B map, because those would have fit better rather than
the escort.
The escort, simply because there's not only is there like 3 mainly different areas, and all 3 areas play differently. That's the thing, because you have all of the outside buildings, and they all focus on, what is it?
The outside, you have a very open kind of sightline area that was...
Yeah, it's very open, sightlined, all that stuff.
It was supposed to be designed for Widow.
Confined areas, while there's many of flanking routes in the midsection, there's many choke points.
Yeah. There's just too many choke points. And then in the
final part, while there's choke points, there's only really one flanking, and even then you can't do it as a full team. Each section has its own play style, and you have to change within that game, and
that makes it really frustrating to play, because you want to stick to that one hero that you're on and try and get through the map like as that one hero, because the more you switch, the more you have to readjust your mind, and the more you have to readjust kind of that muscle memory that you have. You might end up having to play a hero that you're not comfortable with, because the other team has heroes that they're comfortable with, but you have to kind of fill in and make sure that the team is balanced enough for you to support them and go in and be able to win that specific part of the map.
Yeah, and that's more expected on a control point level or a defense point like Volskaya. And while Volskaya doesn't change, stuff like Ilios, you do have to change your team comp sometimes.
Yes.
And it gets, unless there's a certain meta like the one now where it's just
triple
the same 6 heroes.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's just like, really, why are you doing this to us? This makes sense on a control point, but on an escort or a hybrid, I don't understand.
Yeah, it just the constant changing of the maps, it leads to the constant changing of heroes, which leads to disorganization. It leads to you losing ults. It leads to bad team compositions. It leads to you having to play heroes you're not comfortable with, and that all just kind of adds to the fact that Junkertown isn't a visually appealing map, and that kind of brings it to a head. And no one just wants to play that map. No one likes that map. I mean, with Blizzard World, it was the same way for a while, except for it was visually appealing. Blizzard World was just kind of their special event thing, but at least they've put in effort to balance it a little bit more, and now it's a more fair map to play.
I actually fully repressed Blizzard World because I don't like the play style of it. It's not fun to play.
Yeah, but at least there's 2 completely different sections, but you could continue to play the same composition you started with in the second section.
You just need to play those heroes differently.
Yes, you could still play the heroes. You just have to play them differently. Which that could be that's an argument that could be said for Junkertown, but with Junkertown, it's 3 different ways you would have to play that hero, and you would have to keep switching constantly throughout the map. And even in Blizzard World, you'd really only have to adjust it ever so slightly to the more confined space. While in Junkertown, you go from a really open space to a more confined space to an even more confined space with very minimal flanking routes on the second two halves, or second two thirds. And it just all kind of makes it a frustrating map to play.
Right, yeah. And there was some maps that were like that at first, and Eichenwald never had that problem. It was the first new map
Yeah,
for Overwatch, and it never had that problem, and it was a great map. Then you went to Oasis. Oasis actually it was so visually appealing, but many people didn't like it because of the way, because it felt weird to play.
Yeah, even now, like after playing it for what I've been playing for a little over a year, you've been playing for like 2 years now, almost 3.
Almost 3, yeah.
Yeah, or no, I've almost been playing for 2 now. Geez, even playing it for that long, it's just it kind of feels awkward to play, but it's still a good map. It's still balanced.
Yeah. And the thing was, in the beginning, it didn't feel that balanced. It felt more like, and it was mostly because of the heroes at that time, but with Oasis, it felt more of a thing where whoever captures the point keeps it for the rest of Oasis. And that was the main problem. And of course, it wasn't because of the map at the time. It was because of the heroes and the meta, because I'm pretty sure that's when Dive started going in, and Dive was literally the only thing that was allowed to be played.
Yeah.
And it was really not fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's around the time I stopped playing for a little. And that's why I'm still at 3-star bronze portrait.
Well, I
just don't play that much. And you've gotten to 4 stars?
I'm level 4 stars. I'm level 442 right now. On my alternate account, I'm almost level 80, so I'm like almost level 70.
Have a silver portrait.
I basically have a silver portrait between my accounts right now. Yeah. That also explains why you're in silver and I'm in high gold. So.
Well, I'm at the gold level, but not only have I not played as much as everyone else, and I don't know life this game, but I
have a life.
I got too frustrated at it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't healthy.
Yeah, that's valid. Hey, let's stray a little bit from Overwatch right now.
Alright.
And let's go into kind of discussing like what other games that like are what other games do we play together? What we play, Rivals of Aether, and
we need to play Left 4 Dead again.
Left 4 Dead, yeah, I guess, and then Portal 2, and then Vagante, kind of. You don't have Vagante, do you?
I don't have a Vagante. That's the thing you play with lamps.
Yeah, I don't even play with him. I play by myself. Did you know I have over 130 hours logged on Vagante right now?
Yeah, and oh my god, Philly is wrecking Atlanta.
Yeah, I checked the score. It's 1-1. I think Philly probably figured out Atlanta's strat, and Atlanta can't get their stuff together.
I agree.
Atlanta's a new
needs
team.
To change it up for this next game.
I mean, Atlanta's a new team, and Philadelphia didn't really change much over the off season. So, I don't want Steam news right now. I want to go down. Yeah, I have 148 hours logged on Vagante.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, it's
what? So you say you have how many hours on Vagante?
148.
God. Alright, let me see.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check all of my games to see which one I have the most hours on.
Yeah, on Overwatch I have a little over 250, I believe. And on Fortnite I have definitely over 100. I have definitely over 100 on Fortnite.
Someone's name is Doomfisted.
Ha. That's funny. I did a Photoshop. I did a Photoshop once of the wilding from Vagante with the Doomfist gauntlet. That was pretty good. It was pretty good. Yeah. So, I mean, what other games have we played together? That's what I'm wondering. Like, we haven't played it together, but I have TF2. I have a TF2 account.
The thing is with TF2, while I've played, I more or less go to servers that are like what. I don't really do competitive Team Fortress 2.
Mm-hmm.
Not because there's too much variety or whatever. It's more of a thing where I just enjoy. I enjoy playing as the characters for fun. Okay. Especially when everyone, like, I joined actually really late in TF2.
If you joined late, I joined really, really late.
Yeah, you joined really, really late in that community, and everyone already has, like, almost every single item.
Yeah.
While I don't have that full arsenal to me.
Yeah.
So really, I enjoy the trade quotation marks servers. Because you really just get to mess around with the characters you love to play.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I try to avoid for a while there. I tried to play what's it called, the knockoff free version of Overwatch essentially. It was like Overwatch, but like you had to unlock the characters, and I tried to play that, but I just couldn't get into it because there's so much. You have to sit there and build up and build up and build up coins, and then you finally get that one character, and then you want another one, so you have to keep building up again. And games like that, it's just, yeah, it's a little...
Overwatch, but you had to unlock the characters.
Yeah, essentially.
I don't remember that.
It's not Overwatch, it's a different game, but it's like Overwatch. It's a 6v6 game.
What game was it? Because I can't remember that at all.
That's what I'm telling you. I don't remember what it's called.
Oh.
Yeah. But it was free to play, and it was like Overwatch. It was interesting. It is interesting. But they had kind of like a battle pass, almost like Fortnite, where you could it would help you unlock the characters faster and stuff like that. And yeah, it was kind of fun to play at first.
Oh, was it like a MOBA?
Kind of. No, it wasn't like a MOBA. No.
Okay, was it on Epic Games though?
No, it was on Steam.
On Steam?
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know what it was then. All I know is that there was a game kind of like that on Epic Games. That was just, it was called like Project Paragon or something.
Oh yeah, Paragon. That got shut down.
Yeah, it did. Got shut down in April.
Yeah. It's unfortunate I didn't get to like check it out before it got shut down, but I feel like a cool thing that companies could do if they're shutting down a game is they could set, if you have to pay for something, they could set it so it's free to play for like the last little bit of the game's life, so everyone can get to experience it before it goes. You know, it's kind of like getting that last little, taste of something, like that last little taste of a cake before it's gone,
Yeah. And I never got to Paragon. I actually really liked Paragon. Problem was I just didn't have the time to play it. And when I moved away from Overwatch, I got into Paragon, and then I got caught back up with Overwatch afterward. Stopped playing.
Yeah. It's just, games, they come and go. Sometimes it's because of money reasons, sometimes it's because copyright issues, and honestly, if a game like Overwatch or Fortnite or Apex Legends, which is recently out, if one of those were to collapse, I wouldn't be surprised, because Fortnite was one of those games where it like became really popular really fast, and then as soon as Apex Legends came out, Fortnite kind of dropped. It went from like 400,000 viewers on Twitch to 100,000, and Apex Legends got really popular really fast, a lot faster than Fortnite. So it's like trends in the modern world. You know, you could one day chokers will be a thing, and then the next day they're not. They're just slutty, and gross, and that's the same thing with video games. It's the same thing with like books and stuff. That's just how the world is nowadays. But Overwatch seems to be one of those games, because Overwatch got popular pretty quickly, but it didn't. It took a little bit of time to build up. You know, they kind of built it up and they got popular, and then when it released, it took a while for them to get the 10 million players and all that. It
took time for them to get that far. But the thing is, it's also taking time for it to actually fall down.
Yes.
While Fortnite took a lot of the Overwatch players, there was other things where it was just like many Overwatch players actually returned, because I know that there was also ones that stuck around, such as Tyrion and Baza. They stuck around quite a bit, and while others like Zill and Muzok moved on. Muzok moved on to Fortnite because it was the trendiest thing at the time, and he needed views.
Yeah, Muzok was having some issues. I believe he was having issues with demonetization too. Like, he was being demonetized quite a bit. And hello? Hey, dude, you cut out there. I can't.
There for the creative mode.
You kind of cut out there a little bit.
Oh, how much?
Like for a good solid 10 seconds.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so we're approaching an hour now, you know. I think this is a good place to kind of leave off. Let's, before we end things, I want to go over just kind of what we discussed a little bit. So, the podcast, it's going to be about various topics, mostly, video game related. Maybe some computer and technology related will come in here and there. We want to start with a focused topic, but we might branch off during podcasts. It's not always going to be just one discussion, right? And a lot of this is going to be keeping up with just, little basic things, little news that comes up about an Overwatch League player or something like that. It'll be kind of like a news show, but only like once a week, right? Almost,
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I think this is a good solid foundation to start with. We just spent this time kind of talking and setting up how most of these are going to sound like. Most of these are probably going to sound like just us talking about something, and then we swap to a new topic, or we branch off into gradually into something new. And I think, in my personal opinion, this is what I would like, just kind of like continuing conversation back and forth between a couple of people about a topic that is informative and, progressive and constructive. And I guess, with this, we'll see where it goes. Sometimes it'll be, a little less interesting. Sometimes it'll be more interesting. We just gotta figure out where this takes us. It's something new. It's something that can be, like I said earlier, a learning experience for everyone.
Yeah, it can, and that's a good thing to do.
And so I think that's really all we have to talk about. I don't want to push it over an hour quite yet, but in the future things could be pushed over an hour. Sometimes they might go less than 50 minutes. They might go 30, 45 minutes, but only time will tell.
Yeah.
And I guess to anyone who's listening, watch out for, we'll try to do weekly uploads. The first couple of them might be once every 2 weeks. until we have a routine down. And I mean, tune in later on. For now, it will just be on SoundCloud because that's where I can upload it. I will try to post it at other places for other people to listen to and try to widen the audience. But for now, SoundCloud will be where this is going to be heading.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And, yeah. Guess we're signing off now.